Still pretty damn high. All right. Give the name of the show, goddammit. Let's go.
Nothing but worry, goddammit.
All right. We are your usual company at this time of the week, this time of the day. And sitting here on the dimly lit living room sofa, as usual. I'd say this is a living room. It's sort of a common area, living room, dining room, fused into one. What would you say?
It's the living room.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I wish we could have recorded the last 45 minutes of our human interaction here because...
But the problem is YouTube wants to tell you what you have to pay to all the different artists.
Well, here's the thing. I don't mind being demonetized because I'm not making any money.
Even though they're apparently making money off of some of your videos.
Yes, some of my videos have enough hits now or views now that they have ads on them. I don't see a nickel. So I don't really give a shit. I don't plan to make any money off this channel. But it'd be cool if I could have played... they probably wouldn't have cared. Since we're not making any money, they probably wouldn't have cared if I'd played all that music. We had to do an experiment and see what happens.
No.
Get the whole channel taken down for sedition against the Lord God Trump. Anyway, we were listening to music. I thought this happened in '94, but apparently happened in '95. I started listening, buying CMJ magazine, listening to the sampler CDs that came with like every other issue. And we went through one from May of '95 or June of '95, something like that. And some of that music still good. Some of it never was good.
Yeah. There was a cool Joan Osborne song on there.
Yeah, Saint Teresa.
But there was one reason you played us the record. That was the last song on it.
Right. This is the first Guided by Voices song I ever heard. Squirmish Frontal Room. And, I was telling Bonnie, Guided by Voices was a big influence on me in what you could do and how you could do it. And, the song, that recording, you can hear the tape hiss. And by the way, Bonnie was asking earlier, what is tape hiss? Tape hiss is when you hear on the one hand, you hear the sound of the microphone itself. Ambient air being caught in the mechanism of wafting across the sensors in the microphone or whatever. But more for your average recording enthusiast, the machine is recording its own mechanism, its own tape spooling mechanism. You'll hear that a lot in home recording stuff. Just stuff regular people buy for $20. That's what tape hiss is. So anyway, it's not just the tape hiss that you can hear in the song. It's not just the obvious crudeness of it where they're recording it in somebody's bedroom. But it's also the fact that the song structure is just, okay, here's your chorus, here's your verse, here's your bridge, here's a piece of the chorus again, we're out. That's it. There's no pooting around. The song's like 1 minute and 20 seconds long. And I was like, I didn't know you could write a song like that. I didn't know you could write a song that was just in and out. There you go. We're not going to repeat. We're not going to repeat this. We're not going to do another verse. That's it.
I think that the reason that you appreciate it is the same reason that I ended up getting into poetry. For so long, we were given these poems, and there was this certain rhyming structure, and there's certain rules. If it's 5, 7, 3, whatever, or the second and the sixth had to rhyme. And there had to be a certain cadence, a certain feel to it. It had a scan. And when I discovered that poetry could basically just be freely spoken and expressed by the most common language, it changed the way I looked at poetry. And I realized that even I could do it, if I wanted to use it as a method for expressing myself.
I
Found
think
it accessible.
Well, I think that goes along with exactly something I was going to mention. Last week, I was struggling to think of this Japanese word, and I thought of it yesterday night. Ikebana, Japanese artistic flower arrangement. And here's the time with the poetry thing. That's the kind of poetry. So I was telling Bonnie what I like about Ikebana and many Japanese art forms in general is this sort of asymmetric aesthetic.
Yes.
It's like being off a little bit or flawed a little bit, or we're going to go off on a tangent a little bit. A friend of mine thought it was funny. I described my fiction writing as being like off on a tangent type. He thought that was funny. But here's the thing, I like poetry that's like just a little bit askew. It's like we're going to go over here, and then there we go. That's it. We're done.
Well, one thing that you and I did as we embraced photography, and I was introduced to photography from childhood, there's a picture of me standing in front of a German brewery with a camera in my hand. Because I was given cameras from a young age. I was given camera kits, how to build, that sort of thing. But when I began to realize that I could do photography as an art as opposed to a documentary approach, that I could find beauty anywhere. And within Japanese culture, there is wabi sabi, the embrace of the imperfect. And when you and I individually began to approach photography as an art form, we leaned into wabi sabi without knowing what it was called, that there was some kind of appreciation for it. You and I began to find images or beauty in the broken things, the rust patterns, the staining on a window, the reflection of something in that stained window. And that embrace of something that is not structured, that is not firm and rigid, it allowed us to make it our own and express ourselves through it.
I've got a couple of pictures that I've taken over the years. You're walking along, what I love about photography is having the camera with you, and you just start walking. And you're not walking with any goal in mind. You're just walking wherever your eye leads you, wherever your tired feet lead you, And you just come across stuff that you did not know existed. And one thing I really like is to take pictures of stuff people have just accidentally or on purpose left in the windows of their offices or houses. I've got a picture, somebody, I think it was in one of the dormitory windows, somebody had put a rubber chicken, like it was, a prize totem. And there's another one with one of those waving good luck cat things Japanese people have.
Well, this week our son worked an odd shift. Normally he leaves before the sun's up and gets home after the sun is set. A really long shift at the hospital. And this week he worked an odd shift, so he got off while the sun was still setting. And he's walking through the parking deck, and the parking deck itself is all angles. And the floors slant up or down, depending on how you look at it. And then there are all these huge concrete supports throughout it. And even they are angled so as to directly support these angled floors. And as he's walking through, the sunlight hits the parking deck and comes shining through one of the upper levels, reaches down between the support beams to the lower level where he's at. And it just splayed the sunlight out in these rows that were beautiful. And the whole place was dirty and gritty and grimy. And despite it being a color picture, it was actually like almost a black and white image because of all the grime. And when I showed it to Lance, he's like, I'm so glad we raised a child that had that creative eye that said, I am going to capture this moment. And I think that's the beauty of photography. You're able to capture it exactly as you see it through that viewfinder. Things we saw in windows. I don't know if you remember this, but you and I were in Isla a number of years ago, and we're walking behind this one place that has become converted to a home. And it's got these high windows like in a garage. And somebody has placed an Iron Man figure in the window. Arms stretched out on one and the other kind of at his side.
I don't remember this at all.
And I brought it home. And I also do graphic arts. So I started running it through my filters. And I created...
Oh, that.
You
I know what
remember
you're
that?
talking about. No, the toy thing. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Yeah.
And I created this image. I took the whole photograph and I converted it to this 5 or 6 color graphic design. And then I added the starburst images in the back, so it was like he was standing out in space doing it. And that was a lot of fun. And in the past, I've also taken some of your work and said, I can bump up the color in this. I can bring this out. And so it's a lot of fun for me to play with your images as well.
I think it's a total delegitimization of the original artwork, because any reproduction is potentially a marketing tool for the original. So you're selling the public a bill of goods by tampering with the original.
Well, I think it's probably like selling your famous song to sell a commercial, probably, yeah. You know, using
What song is this?
any song.
Oh.
They end up saying, oh, he sold out. He allowed the Beatles music to be used for GE lighting or whatever, you know. Remember what was it, Yellow song that was used? Song by Yellow, wasn't there one? It was used in...
Oh, they use, for a bunch of shit.
Things, yeah.
I saw it in at least two different movies that year that it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I remember, I didn't listen to modern music at that time period. I knew nothing on the top 40. But I remember I went to a movies. I don't. Anyway, I asked somebody, "Who is this? What's the big deal with this song?" "Oh, that's Yellow." "What's that?" And
And now you adore them.
I love Yellow. And I just imagined the
That's
guy.
another group that does music because it's fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. I just can't see them. I mean, I don't know. Worldwide, maybe their shows draw a big enough crowd to them make a profit. But I just don't see it. The air conditioner is a funny phase because right now we're in between 60 and 70 degrees outside one week, and then 37, 31 the next. So
We actually had the air conditioning on this week a couple of times. I couldn't believe it. And 4 weeks ago, we had snow and ice.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Well, what were we hotly talking about just earlier?
Well, we were discussing the CMJ and how that album introduced you to Guided by Voices. And on the CMJ album that we were listening to, there were a lot of different folks.
Let me find that.
Terrence Trent D'Arby before he went crazy?
Yeah. Okay. Let me go get the album.
Yeah.
Now this is just one example of what the hell is it? Here it is. Yeah, this is the May of '95 issue. The sample that went with that issue. Let me get home. All right, hold on. Let me get the damn thing out. The paper sleeve that you cut out, and you supply your own jewel case, but it has a little sleeve thing you can cut out and fold in half and stick in there. And some of the later ones had a sticker, a circular sticker you could stick on the back of the jewel case. Now, this is what was on this issue. Maids of Gravity with Only Dreaming. That was a big song for about a month. Matthew Sweet, Sick of Myself, one of his little pop things. Bad Brains with their comeback album, God of Love, which I think Rick Ocasek produced that record. Somebody famous did. I mean, KMFDM, Juke Joint Jezebel, which is one of their big songs. Censor, Age of Panic, or hip hop group. Dream Warriors, A Big Nothing. Terrence Trent D'Arby, Vibrator.
The thing about Terrence Trent D'Arby is he went down that religious path that some people go down. Every couple of years, you get a story in the headlines about somebody who's gone crazy and killed people. And they say they did it because the devil told them so, and the devil was sitting on their shoulders, and it was God's will, the Andrea Yates of this world. And every time somebody goes off and gets all religious, like Terrence Trent D'Arby, I envision them going down that same path of crazy, It's silly. I mean, if you don't believe in that kind of stuff, then you don't go crazy and blame, the religion and all that.
Well, I'm sure that at a certain level, hold on, his declining commercial prospects probably lent themselves a great deal to him just going nuts. If you don't know, Terrence Trent D'Arby, his big hit was in '86 or '7, Wishing Well, big splash with his first record, and after that, sort of.
You told me a story that Rolling Stone followed him around for a day or two.
Yeah, when Terrence Trent D'Arby mania was at its height, Rolling Stone magazine had a cover story article on him, and he goes and he gives a speech at some high school. He may have done a performance, I don't know, but anyway, I don't know why he was at this high school and if it was his former thing or not. But he's giving a speech to the kids, and all of a sudden they said that he got quiet and he went, "Rock and roll is the devil's music," and then sort of just wrapped things up and left. Just out of the blue, he says this, which leads me to believe he was always a little bit religious nutty. Yeah. He's changed his name to Sananda Maitreya now. I think it's some Buddhist thing. I'm not really sure, but it's some.
Cat Stevens became Muslim. The guy Peter.
Yusuf Islam.
Yeah, Peter. What's his name from?
Peter Murphy.
Murphy became Muslim also.
He's a Sufi or something. I'm not really sure what.
You have these people that go and. For them, I think it was marriage that brought them into the religious fold. Then they adopted.
Peter Murphy for sure, yeah.
And then, did I tell you the story about us listening to Cat Stevens before he became Cat Stevens? He was still in that bubblegum pop phase in Britain.
No, what about
Yeah, we heard some of his really early stuff.
Oh.
You know how the Beatles early
Right.
versus late is so completely different?
Right.
He went through one of those phases where he just went, and became what everybody thinks of with Peace Train and stuff. And so for him to go and do this whole jump into the Muslim and ignore his old songs, it's kind of there. He'd already done these changes and transitions.
It's funny because that's
Even
the same.
George Harrison did this whole thing about peace, love, and happiness after the guru ashram kind of thing. So,
Well, it's kind of like people who anytime you get talking about music and anytime you start to your discussion starts to sniff around to the Bee Gees, they're like, "Oh, well, the Bee Gees were around a lot longer than the disco phase.
Yeah, that's true.
They were really a great Beatles type band." And you're like,
you
"Okay,
used to work
whatever."
with somebody who used to go on.
I used to work with this guy
about
who
how
was
the older group
completely
versions-
stuck in his high school head when it came to music. And
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. That Rumors and
That
Climb
wasn't
the
their
Mountain and all that.
best-
No, that's
Where's
garbage. When they were. And then the Bee Gees. Oh, that disco stuff. That's just poop. Back when they were doing the mining hall disaster song or whatever the hell it was.
True to their roots, man.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know any of this. I'd never hear this. If it was great, I would have heard it on the radio.
You just weren't in Australia at the time, man. So what else is on there? Other than
Okay, let's see. All right. A reissue of a Jimi Hendrix live record.
So we listened to a record with Jimi Hendrix, covers of Jimi Hendrix, didn't we? Recently?
Yeah, about a week ago.
Okay, and What was it that was on there that was so impressive for me?
We listened to Paul Rogers sing with
Ooh, Slash.
Slash playing the guitar. They did I Don't Live Today. It's so good. All right, now Peter Scherer. Okay, it says here, after years of working behind the scenes as a producer, arranger, writer, and classically trained composer, and Arto Lindsay's partner in The Ambitious Lovers, Peter Scherer has finally stepped into the spotlight with the release of his debut solo album, Very Neon Pet. They got it listed wrong. They said they have Very Neon Poet, but I've got the album and it's Very Neon Pet. Scherer should get the recognition he deserves. Nerve Type No, which appears here in a special remix by Adrian Sherwood, is a shimmering piece of electronic strangeness, skillfully executed and profoundly listenable. This is another example of an album I bought because of the one track on the sampler.
And it wasn't anything like it.
Yeah, the other tracks on the it's all instrumental basically.
But like they pointed out in the liner notes, this is a remix by somebody else.
Right.
And it kicks ass. It's an amazing bass line, and there is almost a drone to this electronic element of the music. And then you've got this kind of jungle, and then they bring in this North African singer. Everything begins to get layered. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Occasionally there's a bell that rings, like a door.
Telephone.
Ding. And it's like it's from the next room. There's a ambience to the sound. It makes you think, is that in the? It reminds me there's an old Sun Ra album. You know, they used to just come over those records are done like God of My Voices records. He drew the covers. They printed them up in the basement. But the band would basically come to his house and play. And they were jamming in the living room at his direction, and they'd record it. And there's one where they're playing, and the phone, you can hear it. The phone rings in the next room, and they stop playing so he can go answer the phone.
Do you
It's
remember
hilarious.
Sarah, the chick I used to work with? She was married to that guy Kieran at the Grit. No. So Sarah said that years ago she went to a Sun Ra concert.
Mm-hmm.
And he says something like, "Bring it out, boys." And they've got this giant doobie. They light it up. And he takes a puff. He goes, "Oh, yeah, pass it around." And they passed this giant doobie through the audience.
It's funny.
So what's on after this? Peter Scherer?
After him, a band called Suddenly Tammy.
Yeah, we couldn't listen to that for more than 2 measures and we were out.
But what I'm telling Bonnie is, some of these people on these samplers, they went on to do other things, or they're still around. And some of these bands, this was their big shot, and nothing happened, and they disappeared.
And that's a shame, because later on there is somebody from Georgia that's kind of interesting. What's after?
Okay, then Joan Osborne, St. Teresa.
That was good.
Yeah, I did this. Some of her other. Yeah, the name of that album was Relish. That was her first record. Anyway, then Bracket, just a sort of nothing metal band. All, which was basically the Descendants. Flotsam and Jetsam, which was a strange song on this one.
And Flotsam and Jetsam had somebody who went on.
Yeah, their bass player was Jason Newsted, who later played for Metallica. Underground Lovers, don't remember. Echo Belly.
That was an awesome song because the vocalist was so cool.
Led by the charismatic Anglo-Indian ex-kickboxer Sonia Aurora Madan. Okay.
Her voice was amazing.
Yeah. Then Bodico.
That's the one.
I don't know.
True Georgia rockabilly.
I don't know that they may be from Georgia. I can't remember.
Are they
not? Garden Variety, another nothing band, and then God of My Voices. That's just one example of, and I don't even think the magazine's around anymore. I don't know.
CMJ? I have no idea. So one of the things you brought up was we were talking about Joan Osborne. He's like, "Did you ever get into her?" I'm like, "No, not really," because at some point in this, I started going into mom mode, nesting mode, and it was like, I always say this, the babies ate my brains. There was like 7 or 8 years there that all I could do was think about our 2 little ones, the pregnancies, the birth, having the first one, and then 2 years later having the next one. It was just one after the other. But I remember going to some festival, And this is back when the radio stations would give out tickets to these festivals. At first I thought it was maybe Lollapalooza, but that's not right. It was some other festival. And so I won tickets, and I was involved with this group at that point. And I just said, I just won tickets. Anybody want to go? And one of the guys in the group goes, yeah, I'd like to go to that. What would you think about going to see, into a nuclear protest after that the next day? I'm like, okay, sure. So that whole weekend was really weird. Because we drove up to Atlanta, saw this festival. At one point I got bored. It was one of those festivals where they were giving out cigarettes for free at the door. Mm-hmm. You remember those kind of festivals? Sponsored by Marlboro or whatever. At one point I got bored, and the festival was at a grounds area where there was a secondary building. And I went over and walked out to this building, and in the building was this whole other event going on. It was a woodworking exhibition. And I'm walking through, and I'm like, Aunt Susan, hi, how are you? My aunt was there. She had brought up she did wood turning. And so she'd brought up wooden vases and other bowls and things that she had made for showing. But after that, we ended up crashing at some dude's house in Atlanta this guy knew. I wasn't even with this guy, okay? We were just hanging out for the weekend. And the next day we drove over to South Carolina, and we went to a nuclear power plant protest. And we stayed there, and we camped and set up camp and stuff. And the guy's whole deal was he did massage therapy. Later found out it was just his way of getting his hands on women, and because he offered me a massage. And he goes, you want to roll over? I'll do the breast too. I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. And so we set up this place. It was some park, and we did the protest. It was just a weird weekend. I cannot believe how strange I was at that point, but it was the Peace Coalition I'd gotten involved with.
Yeah, I know. That's I by now are getting to an age where children are not dominating our lives quite to the extent that they did at one time. So I was thinking, we've never been very social people compared to my parents. I guess your parents too. My parents always had people over. We're always going to somebody else's house for some party. We don't do shit. I was thinking, well, what if we did actually establish some sort of social
Well, you've been
life?
Working 28 years on the night shift.
Yeah.
And that always determined how and what we would do. I mean, there were Thursday nights I wanted to go to the art exhibits, and I didn't end up going because the kids were needing help with homework, or needed, a ride to soccer, or you were never available on a Thursday night to go with me, and I didn't want to go and say, they always have a glass of wine. I don't drink and drive. And I wanted to socialize, but I didn't want to meet people without you. And so when we did do things, we've always had to do it around your schedule. And I have been fiercely guarded of protecting you and your schedule.
Years ago, the only times we ever socialized with anybody else is it was somebody
through work
in some way related to work.
Somebody dragging over their girlfriend at the time, or somebody that you worked with were dragging over their husband. And that was several years of that. And then I tried to have some people over, and you were never into the library crowd, and you were never available when they were over. And then I tried individuals through work. Like Ken does the band thing up at the corner. We were talking about this today. We've got a little social gathering place in our small town. And one guy I used to work with is the weekly guitar guy up there. And he'll sit in with all these other bands and stuff, and he plays on his own. He has a duet or a trio, depending on who's there that night. And he's invited me up there numerous times, and we went there once. I was allowed to stay for 10 minutes. Lance starts getting antsy. It doesn't help that Mary, who runs the place, is completely wasted out of her head. I basically made a donation to a thing that we were doing together, and then we left because Lance didn't want to be around all these people. And these people are going, Linda's like, hi, Bonnie. And Ken was like, hey. I'm like, come on, sit down. I'm like, I can't. Lance is here. And Ken's like, got it. Because even Ken knew he's a grump. Because the one that Ken worked with came over a couple of times for dinners. Had Lance with him, sitting in with dinner with him. And this guy was meh. And I had him over for dinner a couple times afterwards solo. But it was like, it just never seemed to work out. You are a big grump, admit it.
I guess I don't know.
Yes, you are. Yes, you
I
are.
don't understand playing this game.
Games. See, there you go. Well, back when we had the dining room over in that other section where the library is, did you even come out for that big shindig I had for the library board?
I don't even remember it, so probably not.
Oh my fucking God. I extended the table, had full seating. Everybody did a potluck. We came in. One of the guys made wine. I mean, literally grows his own grapes, makes wine. And so we were here for hours and hours. And I don't remember you showing up. I don't even remember you coming out to say hello.
Well, God, that's a long time ago that the table was in there.
Yeah, it has been quite a while. And then we've tried to do a few family things in here, and it started getting so crowded because the kids each have their own significant others now. And then we'll invite my folks over, and it's just, I don't know, it always seems like such a big to-do. Not this past Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving before, we had everybody over.
I love...
And we ended up doing a charcuterie table. We turned the entire kitchen island into a charcuterie board. And I had all this stuff set up. And then one of the counters was filled up with the desserts and hot stuff that people brought. And that was nice, but I gotta tell you, it wore me the hell out.
I like reading apparently true stories of people who have money and connections, clearly because of where they live, or because of the jobs they have, or because of the social circle they move in. They're not necessarily famous people, but they're people who make, maybe they're
know others.
Maybe they're in the academic world, the upper echelons or something, But I love reading about these people and the fact that they have straightened circumstances too, to the extent that they have everybody over for some party, but there aren't enough tables or chairs or whatever. So these quasi-famous people are sitting on the floor and making a joke out of it. I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. The rich are real people too.
You were saying that my family actually did do socializing. We did it through a number of outlets. When my mother married her husband, she and he went to different churches, and so there were activities involving those people. But then he was in the restaurant business, and he was always in management, so he would always host managers' parties. And my mother always had to play hostess, which meant the girls were brought in to learn how to set up and play hostess. That's why I've always gone overboard, like when we've had our New Year's party, we had that several years in a row, and then Reed had a shindig over here when she was growing up. I set up an entire table with snacks, and the kids are going like, oh my God. And Peter used to have D&D things here where I would set up, again, the kitchen island, and I would just cover it with stuff. Like one time it was like an ice cream party, another was pizza party, and etc. But we were always drug into these managers' parties to go and do sit up, and then we were allowed to go and eat and, say hello to these people and refill the plates. But my dad and his wife, they would have people over for the weekend. So somebody would come over, generally on a Saturday, and then they were into astronomy, which meant that you were up until 4 o'clock in the morning outside, and you were having a viewing party. And so the place they've been now for 25 years, they have set up an entire observatory, and then they have mounts out in the field. And so people can come over, and they've got guest bedrooms and an inflatable mattress even for extras. And of course couches and all that.
Yeah, it does seem to me that your parents have they must, in my imaginings, they must have this like 30 people that they know on a regular basis,
They used to, but they've now reached that 70 and 80-year-old level where most of your friends are dying. And it's really sad to listen to my dad talk about it because he's so matter of fact. And it isn't that it doesn't bother him. It does, especially when they die tragically, like what happened with COVID. And then people just suddenly are gone and they have no warning. They've got one friend who is in stage 5 kidney disease, has been for 4 or 5 years now. And, but they have this core group of friends that Ted's over there once or twice a week, and one of this other friends that his wife's now in a home for senility, dementia issues. And then they have this other friend who actually moved to this area to be near them. And so they have visitors 2 or 3 times a month. And now that Harry lives nearby, he can just go home instead of sleeping on the mattress or on the guest room. And but yeah, they would have people over for days. I mean, days. And it was a thing when they were involved with the astronomy club out of Atlanta. There were people who sponsored trips to their observatories. And you would go up and you would drive up for the night and then maybe sleep in the back of your truck or just go home in the early morning hours. And then others would have facilities where they would have 3, 4 bedrooms. Like there's just one guy that ended up becoming famous on CNN because he would discover supernovas and stuff. He's just an amateur astronomer. So he would discover these supernovas. And it was a big deal. And they were all friends with these people. And then my dad will have his relatives come up. She will have her family down from Pennsylvania for a week or 2 weeks. My Aunt Susan goes up for 3, 4, 5 days at a time to stay at their house.
To stay with
My dad and Stephanie, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant to see Stephanie's people. I was like,
No,
what?
no. They used to travel and go to places like up in Pennsylvania, Dutch country, where she's from.
Yeah, I saw this the other
But
day.
then they would go on, and then they would continue up to, like, New England leaf peeping kind of thing.
When I was like, Jesus, I don't know. Young enough that I cannot remember it distinctly, but old enough that I can remember it vaguely. When I was about maybe 3, something like that. Some guy that my dad was in Vietnam with lived in Ohio, and we went to visit them for some reason. And they had a son who's about my age. And my parents, just bizarre to me looking back on it, to just go to Ohio to spend a couple of days with somebody I don't know, and he never saw them or mentioned them again as long as they were alive.
Well, my folks know people that I have no idea how they even know these people. Like, until COVID happened, every 2 to 3 years, they would go up to New York City and stay with a couple. It was a gay couple, and one of the guys wrote for the New York Times. I don't even know what his name is. And they would go up there, and the guy would hand them a pass back when they had passes and my folks would just use their apartment as base, and they would go all over New York City, and then they would, visit with their friends in the evening when they got off work, and then they would do things together on the weekends with the friends. But they would go up there every 2-3 years or so. But my dad kind of got that naturally because his father worked for the Mars Project out of Warner Robins, which is the military affiliate radio service. I've talked about this before, where on MASH, Radar would call to Sparky, and Sparky would get them to Japan. Japan would get them to Seattle, and they would bounce calls through ham radios. My granddad was one of the people that set up that ham network of people that would relay calls. And so he became friends with all these people. And he and his wife would go out and visit these people they had befriended over the airwaves. And they would combine it with rockhound trips.
This sounds like
Yeah, it's bizarre.
a trip to the inferno.
They had a truck that had a camper bed on the back of it. And so they would take off cross country. They would stop along the way and visit these people, stay a night or two with somebody, meet somebody for a meal. Then they would keep going, and they would find wherever they wanted to dig. If it was Arkansas for diamonds, New Mexico for geodes, whatever. They would go to this place where they could camp and hunt for rocks. I mean, this is my granddad. He used to drag everybody in the family down to the Flint River to dig out the sides of it so that you could find shark's teeth and other prehistoric things, because the lower half of Georgia used to be underwater for millions of years, and we've got these layers, millions of years of layers of sediment that have all these fossils in it, and the Flint River, it ends up bringing forth all of this stuff because of the way it cuts into the side of the landscape. Yeah, so my dad got it naturally, this whole being sociable.
Well, my dad's I don't know.
Your dad's a social butterfly, too.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I
he
think
embarrassed you sometimes.
well, yeah, but I think that at one time I was more social. Certainly was in my teens and early 20s. But I really do think that the more I became committed to my art, the more and more things I found extraneous to that. So
When I was in college, I remember going and just driving to see friends at different universities and going and hanging out at their place, sleep on their couch or in their bed, and go out to the bars with them, go out to museums with them, go to concerts with them. I remember being up in Clemson at one point, and a friend of mine had a house on a hill that was over this, I don't know if it was a concert area or a stadium or what, and we sat on the porch one night and just listened to the concert from his house. It was just fucking awesome. And then also, I remember taking off on my own. I would just go without telling anybody and head up to the mountains and go and meet people up there at the different camp areas or wherever I was staying, and then end up at campfires with complete strangers or going swimming at places that were just public swimming holes.
I was just thinking of something. On the UJ at the UJ campus,
Yeah.
was the baseball field, stadium, whatever you're going to call it. Did it used to be right down there in that hole with the Tate Center?
No, not that I know of, but it's over behind the vet school and all that.
Yeah, I know where it is now. Yeah,
And it's behind Buttsmere, and then next to that are the tennis things.
right. Well, there was something.
Now, Legion Field is near.
Well, what
the
I was getting at is,
and
I
that had
think.
a pool, but there was like Pearl Jam played there.
I know,
when I
but
was in
what I'm
college.
getting at is, I think down at wherever that where Lumpkin bottoms out
Yeah,
and Baxter
yeah.
starts, where the old entrance to the Tate Center. It seems to me there was something in there, some sporting venue or something with the big lights up in the on poles.
You mean other than the stadium?
No, not the football stadium's sort of like on the other side of that wall that they've built.
The only
I'm
other
talking
thing
about right
is
there.
Legion Field, and they had
Well, there were. I
pool
know there
and
were.
the field,
No,
and
I
you
know
could
there
do
was some tennis.
concerts there.
I know there were some tennis
there were
courts
tennis
there.
courts back behind the high-rise dorms, Creswell and all that.
Anyway, the point I'm making is, I can't imagine having one of the apartments. The hill starts to slope away upwards at that point, and there are apartments
Yeah.
all up those hills. And you're trying to sleep, and they've got something going on at like 7 or 8 at night with those lights going 50 feet in the air.
I lived off Hancock, and you could hear the 40 watts some nights. Worse, though, was the frat house between 40 watt and where I lived. And the frat house was right over near the telephone company. I don't even know if the frat house is there anymore. And they would set up, and it was an outdoor gig. And it was usually the shittiest music that they could cheaply afford. And I mean, they didn't even play stuff over the speakers. No, it was some crappy, band. Except for when Rebecca's band played, they were Fleetwood Mac cover band. But yeah, they were horrible to live next door to.
I went to see, didn't go to see, Widespread Panic played at this. I can't pronounce it properly, but there was a frat that was called the Ox Frat because the Greek letters looked like OX.
Okay.
Anyway, Widespread Panic was there playing, and this is before they were nationally known, and they were like a local name. Oh, Widespread Panic's here tonight, and I did not give a shit. And I think I'm thinking just
Is
now.
that the one that had all the parties in that deep, low ceiling basement?
I don't know about that. It had a
There was
beautiful.
one right there had a big giant turret out in front of the house, in the front corner of the house. Big white old Southern home.
Well, it is a beautiful old. I guess you would say Greek style.
No, this was one of the
And it's
Victorians.
got a rounded front to it.
Okay.
It's one single, and it just OX over this big doorway. I don't know why I guess this was 87. We used to just walk up and down the street, wander into parties.
Yeah. When I was in college, I mean, guys would walk up and you go, "There's a party tonight. We got beer." Okay. And you remember the kudzu house? It's right across from the wedding cake sorority.
Okay.
The corner of Baxter and Millage.
Yeah.
The kudzu house was there for years, and it was called the kudzu house because they had a kudzu party every year. And they would bedeck the entire facade with camo. The
You're not talking
it
about
was
the
like
one-
netting, and then they would serve the beer, and they would dye the beer green. It was not a St. Patrick's thing.
But wasn't there a place every year they would set up the front yard of the place like it was what would you call it? Wooden palisades around some jungle.
That was
theme.
the kudzu. That was kudzu house.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! And I just thought all
And
the effort for
you went to get drunk, and they didn't care if you were in high school because we would go, and all girls welcome, and they had keggers, and this was back when Playboy still had UGA listed as the top party school, and then finally after 10 years or more they went, okay, so here's the deal. Everybody's sick and tired of hearing UGA is the number one party school. So, we have taken UGA out of the listings. Just let it be known, they're the number one top school of the party school in the nation. And this was back when you could drink when you were 18. And then they started graduating, going up to 21. So it kind of like fucked everybody over. That was at that little zone. But yet everybody in Athens still let you drink.
yeah, back when they used to take your license.
Oh yeah, when you would try to you would try to get beer.
I used a piece of carbon paper to change the birth date from 69 to 67.
Yeah.
And that, along with whatever other photo ID I had, I bought some booze there at that joint.
The 5 Points bottle shop.
Yeah, No Crybabies place.
Yeah.
And the woman, she looks at it, she goes, "This looks like a 9." I said, I shrugged my shoulders like, I don't give a shit what you think. And that was enough to okay, fine, here
Yeah,
you
I
go.
told you about the kid I used to work with, Bill Gates lookalike, and he had a fake ID that was awesome. And from the time he was like 17, he would go in there and he'd present the ID, and they knew him as whatever that name was. And I mean, when you look like Bill Gates and you got the glasses and that crazy little plain haircut and stuff, you pretty much can look like anybody. And so he had this, and for years he went in there and he bought from 5 Points Bottle Shop. And then one day his 21st birthday came around, and he and a friend went in there and they had shit tons of booze. And they put it up on the counter and they're like, "What's going on, William," or whatever. And he goes, "It's not William." And he passes over. He goes, "It's my 21st birthday today." And they're like, "Oh, fuck. We've been selling to you for years." And yeah, anybody who knew him knew he was under 21. I mean, he just came across as under 21. But this ID was legit. He just had somebody's ID that looked like him.
Well, yeah, I don't know. The whole fake ID thing. For years, I was always trying to scramble to get somebody to buy booze for me.
Whereas we girls had to just do nothing.
Yeah. But I have to say, I didn't become a full-blown alcoholic until after I was old enough to buy it.
Really?
Yeah, because I became, I mean, within a year, probably. Yeah.
Huh. But you've been working up to it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just years ago. I read this quote from Eric Clapton. He said, "The minute I drank alcohol, I realized I was born to drink alcohol."
Who was this quote from?
Eric Clapton.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just one of those things that connected with me so well. But you read these stories that people spend the rest of their lives struggling with the demon alcohol. I haven't had to drink in almost 23 years, and I just don't care. It's like eating shit. You just, it's something you don't do. It's like I don't eat meat. Or, I don't know. Don't sink your finger in the electrical socket.
Hey, Lance, how's your caffeine withdrawal going?
Oh, we better talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. So, the idea was taper down a couple of days and then go off of it together. Well, that doesn't seem to be working very well. I was drinking just on a baseline. I was drinking 6 cups
with two tea bags.
With 2 tea bags each of black tea.
Yeah.
Every night before I went to work. And that, in addition to that, I would sometimes drink
coffee.
Put a little instant coffee powder in a couple of the teacups, and then maybe even bring a thermos with some more coffee powder or some more tea bags to work. So tapering it down to just 2 a day, pretty good damn start, I think. So I told Bonnie, look, because I went.
And last weekend you did really good. You went over 24 hours with no tea at one
Yeah,
point.
I went a couple of days with no tea, and then I did a day or 2 this week with no tea.
We should back that up a moment.
But
we should back it up a moment.
well, I told Bonnie what I'm going to.
Sunday night you went in. Did you even have any tea that night? You had none, right? I get
remember.
a text.
Oh, was that
at
Sunday?
6:00 in the morning on Monday morning. It's
Yeah.
like, "Hi, what's wrong with Lance?" That's my response. He gets back to me. He goes, Lance looks really tired, but he's already left. He insisted he was fine to drive. Lance walks in. I'm like, "I've been waiting here for 15 minutes for you to get home safely," thinking I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to have to go and pull him out of the ditch again. The third car he's going to total. You get home, you look like hammered dog shit.
Well, anyway, so I told Bonnie, here's what we're going to do instead. I'm just going to, because I seem to be functioning fine on 2 cups per day. So just go with just the 2 cups for a week, and then see if you can go down to just 1 cup, and
Which
then
is actually 2 tea bags.
and then go to nothing, and go. I've done this many times. Gone off caffeine for years, then go back.
Yeah.
Years, then go back. And I went through a long time where I'd drink peppermint tea every night. And it just got to be a thing, a routine thing. Of course, the thing is, with black tea, you can drink it hot or cold. Peppermint, it has to be drank. It has to be drank. What is it?
You have to drink it cold.
It has to be. It has to be.
Hot?
It has to be drunk, or is it drunk or drink? It has to be.
Drunk, I think.
It has to be drunk, hot. I can't drink it cold. It tastes like I don't know, scented water.
It doesn't steep well. I've never liked peppermint tea. I've tried it, even made my own from the garden.
It makes my I don't know, sort of perks up my breathing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's also a natural stimulant, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, it will, like any hot drink, clear your sinuses. Sure.
I don't know. I think it's just...
So, I had you try chewing gum on the way home.
It didn't work out for me.
Didn't work for you.
I mean, I really don't like gum in the first place, but if I am going to chew gum, it's going to be chewing gum, not bubble gum. It tasted, after a while, like I had pudding stuck in my mouth. And I was like, I got to find a place to spit this out. As soon as I'm in a spot where nobody will see me here on the road, I'm going to spew this thing out of my mouth. It was just nasty.
Double bubble.
Double bubble. Yeah, well, anyway, let's see. What else has been happening lately?
Yeah.
We haven't even gone over what's our recent doings.
You mean today's errands? Well, see.
Oh, no, just the week in general. Because these people are
we've
desperate to hear our
actually
news.
Gone off on a tangent that began with, now the kids are eventually getting out of the house, we hope.
We hope.
Then this is the time when people get to know each other better.
Mm-hmm.
So we were thinking about, we were playing with the idea of having a, what's the Japanese word?
Ikebana? Oh, kisa.
Kisa.
But that would
involve people. We're not quite sure.
That would involve the public. That would involve a liquor license. That would involve
it
letting.
was the idea that we would have the atmosphere of a kisa where people would come over and listen to music, and it'd be light chat and appreciation of music.
Well, the thing is, we don't want people coming over here because they've just lost their job and they need a place to crash for a couple of weeks.
Oh, God. And given that we had some friends that mooched off of us for years, we definitely don't want to end up in that kind of relationship again.
Well, I don't know. If we lived in a urban area, it might be different.
We could meet people at places and, meet them at the park and say, hi, and then bye.
Most people in my position don't have the kind of friends that you and I would like to have, if that makes any sense.
Of all the people that you've brought home, other than the mooches, which we got along with quite well, except that they just lived off of us, you had one friend that would come over every blue moon to chat. And I always liked having him over because he appreciated your music and he was laid back and relaxed. It was funny. One time he brought over his stepdaughter, which was kind of cool, but unusual. But,
yeah, I always feel guilty about that day because I drugged them out all over fucking
did you?
UGA on a bus, yeah.
It
was so hot.
Somewhere?
On a tour of the campus.
Oh.
And
okay.
it was a big waste of time. But,
I regret that he and his wife live so far away. Because I could see having them over for music every once in a while. But, everybody changes. You don't know what anybody's like now. Did we ever have over? We went to his house and dropped off a gift once.
No. We ran into them at Kroger back when we used to still shop at Kroger. Him and his wife.
Yeah.
I can't believe how big their house was. It's just the two of them and a bunch of cats.
Yeah, but they had moved down here from New Jersey. And so, when you move from New Jersey, you're selling your house for 600,000 or something up there, and you come down here and suddenly you can buy a multi McMansion or something, you know.
I guess he's retired now.
I guess so.
Yeah.
She was the one that made the comment about his racism, wasn't she?
Yeah, she said he got into the habit of saying racist stuff. And I guess he said it from his wife one time. And she said, you were never racist like this when we lived up north. And I think I just think
Some
that
of the
some
worst
people.
elements.
Well, I
rub
think
off
it's
on
I
people.
think it's just an easy mannerism people fall into amongst your buddies. It's like an easy laugh, and we talk about what the darky did today, stuff like that. You know
Jesus.
but it's just. I remember years ago, he was such a strange person. First of all, he had no internal resources. He's the kind of person that would have to strike up a conversation with a stranger on a train because he has nothing to think about internally.
Yeah.
There's no phone here. There's no magazines. There's no books. There's no television. Well, I guess I'll talk to this random stranger that's just sitting there sharpening a knife. You know. And also the other thing is he had nervous hands. Years ago, he had bought the Beatles. Brought up this box set of the first 4 or 5 records that were all mono. So they had re-released them in the original mono configurations for the singles and the albums. And he'd bought the box set. Came in this little cardboard sleeve thing. So he's taking it apart to show me the different pieces. And some of the people are standing around watching. And now it's time to put the toy back together and go back to work. He is about to tear this thing into bits. Trying to fit the little compartment, the CD holder thing back into the envelope. And I said, I basically stepped in front of him and snapped his hands away and said, I'll do it. Because I did not want to see this thing torn to bits. And it just befogged my mind.
Any other signs of Parkinson's there?
I don't know. It was just, I don't know what it was about. It was just this nervousness.
Well, the thing about him that shocked me was when he made a comment about how he would not go to the Pendergrass flea market because there were all these Hispanics up there. I don't even know what the term was he used.
I think he just said Mexicans. He was afraid that
Yeah.
he was going to get stabbed.
And I thought, we take our kids up there.
We've been there 3 or 4 times. It's just people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not roving gangs of Negro youths, you know.
I don't understand that kind of racism. You remember Animal House, where the guys go out to meet some girls, and they go to listen to some black musicians,
Yeah.
and their quote at the end is, "The Negro stole our dates."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my fucking God, I can't believe I said that.
The worst thing at that flea market is they sell live animals in the back, and it's like
It's the best and the worst.
it's like totally unregulated puppy sales, unregulated
Chickens and tortoises
weird looking
and
chickens with
birds that
feathers coming out of
squawk
their beaks
and
and
kept in
shit.
cages inside your house.
Weird.
And lizards and
Yeah.
snakes, and it's actually a lot of fun.
But
Even it is
you
highly
know,
disturbing.
you know, none of it is legal.
None of it.
Yeah.
And you also know that when you go into the food court, every single restaurant in there has a 100 rating, and you look around and go, yeah, right.
Is that where? Was it there, or was it at the J&J that I came across that Led Zeppelin LP that I didn't get?
I have no idea, but I'm sure you regret it to this day.
Well, I was listening to some of our old episodes the other day, and I mentioned it.
Huh.
And because the J&J's been closed down a long time.
The Reynolds sold the place to somebody.
The J&J was this monstrous flea market complex. They had, like, I guess, converted chicken houses. There were these long shed-like buildings,
Yeah.
and you could rent areas in there to sell your crap for this amount of money, but for far cheaper you could rent a table outside in the weather. And some people would just that became their table. So they would bring a tent thing to set up over the top of it. And I sold shoes and handbags there one day for renting a table for $5 for the day.
Well, after the Reynolds sold the place to whoever it was, there was a bust by the Athens Clarke County Police Department and some other group. They went out there and they found a shit ton of stolen property, including, this is what got their attention, appliances like washers and dryers and stoves that had been stolen out of homes that were model homes, on the market. So suddenly people are out there selling this brand new stove for $150 or $200. It got somebody's attention. So they made a raid on the place and compared the serial numbers, and sure enough, they busted some people.
Overall, though, I think I'd rather go to the Pendergrass flea market.
It's a lot nicer. Peter says that it's expanded. He and Megan are going up there in a couple weeks from now.
Right down the road from that is a nice Mexican place
El
called
Jinete?
El Jinete, which...
Is that the horseman in Spanish?
I can't remember what it means. It'd be fun to go out there sometime. One weekend, want to have a 3-day weekend.
I don't know if there's anything I can eat anymore. The dairy just kills me. I had something that had been made in the same factory as the other day, and I was sick for hours. It was so bad. One of my hands, the fingers on it became completely stiff with inflammation.
Years ago, I think it was at that. But there's still 2 El Jinetes that we know of, but I think it was this one. We went in there and stupidly ordered the large cheese dip.
It was enormous.
It came...
And you got it with spinach added, so it made it even larger. It came in something the size of a shoe.
Yeah, that's right. That's my famous line. You
Now,
stole my line. So anyway, we finished eating, but there's all this fucking cheese dip left.
He
So
sat there.
I'm like, I'm not wasting this cheese dip. So I sat there and drank it like
And I didn't
fool.
care because you were driving that day, and I got frozen margaritas.
Oh my God! It was. I didn't actually finish it all, but I was like, oh my God! I cannot believe we're wasting. I picked all the spinach out of it. This would make up for some of the cost.
Where is that other place that we like? It's not Cornelia.
Yeah, it's up in Cornelia.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's a Mexican place up in Cornelia, and that is 3 hours from here.
You can't be that far.
It's way the hell up in the mountains.
No, you can get to the Tennessee line in 2 hours.
We drove for hours. Mountain roads. I mean, it was crazy. And maybe it was because we took a trip that took hours and we came back and found that place. We literally stopped on the side of the road in one of those strip malls. It said Mexican food, and we're like, okay, we're tired. We've been out all day. I don't know where all that we had gone. And we're going to eat here. We walked in that place. We sat down. They had vegetarian. That's all that mattered. It was a godsend, if ever there was a
godsend. The atmosphere of the place reminded us of the way that the old Manuel's used to be. There was basically the only authentic Mexican place, or semi-authentic Mexican place in town, was this place called Manuel's. Across, kind of...
It's on Baxter Street. It's all that
matters. Kind of a couple of lots down from where IHOP is now. Anyway, it reminded us of that on the inside. So, we need to look the place up online.
Yeah, it was really good.
Google Maps. Oh, God.
So...
Oh, that reminds me.
What?
Whatever was on the inside of Walmart, was it Subway or whatever?
There was a Subway on
That's not there anymore. Now it's it's
what's there?
Like something Mediterranean.
What? Really?
So we need to look into that.
Hell yeah!
It's something Pita.
Pita Pit?
No, it's not Pita Pit. No. But it's
still though.
Yeah, we need to look into that. See what's what.
Well, another thing that would be nice. I know that you're not a fan of Chinese food, but we are both a fan of the egg rolls.
Mm-hmm.
We should get a batch of egg rolls again.
Mm-hmm.
We got like what, 8 or 10 last time. We had to share with Peter though, and those were really good.
Yeah. It's weird. I think as I get older, my appetite is going down. Actually,
What? What?
I think as I get older, my appetite is actually going down a little bit. Although I am capable of great feats of gluttony still.
Like today.
What did I do today?
Didn't you finish off what we got you from Taco Stand?
Yeah, that's what you brought me, so I ate it.
So, Taco Stand.
They brought.
Lance had a grilled quesadilla with cheese, onions, jalapenos, a side of the special fiesta sauce, but you skipped your sour cream, and a Baja tofu burrito,
Mm-hmm.
and chips, and salsa. Used to be, I would just split the Baja burrito, one half for lunch, one half for dinner. I'd not had any real food. So I sat there and ate the entire thing. I was miserable. I should have saved it for the other half for now. Yeah, but I ended up having tea and instead. But yeah, that food was so good. And you got up while it was still hot.
Semi-hot, yeah.
You could have microwaved it.
The chips tasted off. Didn't you think they tasted sort of weird to you?
No, they were fabulous. They were very thin and crispy.
They
and
tasted
salty.
almost like wheat instead of cornmeal.
I didn't see that.
Well, anyway,
They were so thin.
I don't know. I must have been hungry, like on a sub level, because I ate it just like that without even thinking about it.
That was lunchtime. When you got home from work this morning, I made you a full vegan burger with lettuce, tomato, and 2 slices of Swiss, and onion rings. And you had like 6 or 8 onion rings. So you were not empty.
Did I have anything after that? Did I have any dessert at all?
Not that I know of.
I don't think I did
Because
either.
I came over and gave you the rest of the onion rings. I ate one of them. And that and my tea for breakfast. So yeah, tea with milk and sugar and an onion ring for breakfast.
And then got up, and unexpectedly, there's this food
Feast.
waiting. And you said, "Look, Peter brought Taco Stand home." And my first reaction was, "Well, I'm not going to eat it right now because I don't feel like eating." And then I sort of wandered around like, well, what else is there for me in life but to eat? So I just went back and ate it like a robot, and then went back to sleep.
It was so good.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to well, I like to hit every restaurant in town that we
That Thai
vaguely
place out in Marcusville is
patronize.
fabulous. What's it called? Mama Ning's?
Malaning. It's all right.
I love it.
I think Thai food is okay, but it's just sort of thin.
I made you a decent Thai dish this week. I had the green curry for
Yeah, it was
you.
pretty good. Yeah.
And I want to do it again this weekend because I have some vegetables I need to use up. Some yellow, red, and green bell peppers. I'm not going to do green on that one, but... And then fresh green beans. So, yeah, we absolutely need to do that. And I've got the basil rolls. You just lightly pan fry them. I don't know if you remember these. They're one of those plant-based things, of course.
You know, like ones they serve you basically cold.
No. This comes in the produce section in the vegan area. It's just one of those brands that serves... It's Thai basil rolls, and it's not even rolls. It's like 2-sided. They puff up and crisp nicely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to make these now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good.
Oh dear.
Peter goes to work in the morning. What time is it?
Let me find out. Well, we've been recording an hour and 14 minutes.
So we're near the end anyway, so we should go ahead and wrap it up.
Let me see what time it is anyway.
He's got to get up for a morning shift, of course.
It's 8:05. He's got plenty of time. It's not late.
He's got 25 minutes before he goes to sleep.
So let's leave him alone. He's a grown man.
Yeah, no, but we still don't want to keep him up.
We're not keeping him up.
Well, in a couple months, hopefully he and Megan will get this place, if her grandparents can finish building the other one. And they'll get their old place, and we will finally be rid of the boy. I mean, he will finally move out.
Look, I want everyone to understand. I am basically, fundamentally, an optimistic, positive person. I'm basically optimistic, but however, I don't hold out much hope that this will work out, and I don't hold out much hope that this will be the last we see of the
boy.
the little fledgling that it needs to fly.
Oh. Well, if he needs to come back, he's going to have to use our land and put a house on it, because I'm not looking forward to him returning to the nest.
Agreed. All right, so that's it. I guess that's about it.
Yep. All right, bye.
Bye.